The Garden of Ink and Bones is a monthly podcast about witchcraft, powerful plants, and making magic. I'm Belle of Belladonna and Bones, and I'll be joined by occult artist Rue of Old Omen, and we're witches who like to get our hands dirty. To us, magic is practical, visceral, and bound in blood to the soil and bones of our spiritual allies. It's time to get your hands into the dirt, do the work, make magic, and feel the witchcraft in your bones. Welcome to the Garden of Ink and Bones. Welcome to the Garden of Ink and Bones. I'm Belle, and with me today is Rue. We're back!
We're finally back. Hello, everyone.
Hey, so we've had an intense few months, and we'll tell you a bit about it. But today's really exciting because we're in the same room.
It's going to make recording way easier without my flaky internet connection.
We'll see how this goes. Audio quality might be a bit off because we are sharing a microphone, but, you know, the excitement of having us both together is pretty good because, you know, it'll be fun and natural. Maybe next time we should do it with video and we can get those visual cues.
Yeah, definitely. That could be an idea.
Might do that. I'm going to try. Wayde, our wonderful editor, has been pushing me to try Skype for our recording because he thinks we'll get better quality. So we'll have to give that a go.
Definitely.
So, guys, we've been away for 2 months, 3 months.
Feels like forever.
Feels like forever. Probably feels like forever for some of you, although I know some of you have been binge listening and re-listening to the episodes, which we just really appreciate.
Yeah, thanks for that, guys. A little bit creepy, but I'm cool with it.
Yeah, creepy is when you read the YouTube comments. Oh, God. But no, thank you so much for bearing with us and your patience. We'll give you a little update as to what's been going on. If you follow me on different parts of social media, you would have heard some of it. A lot of it's my fault. Well, not my fault. My medical issues I was going through. So you guys know that we were doing IVF and then stopped doing IVF and then managed to get pregnant, but that didn't stick. So, unsurprisingly, really, I don't have good eggs, apparently, you know. So we had a miscarriage, which basically was, I found out we were pregnant on the morning we were going to record an episode, and I went, I can't record, I'm all over the shop.
Yeah.
And then
I think I went running through my house screaming, like, yay!
Yeah, and that definitely helped for the first couple of weeks, but the chemical levels in my body just stopped doubling, which is bad. But we never actually get to embryo stage, so we get this like sac that, too much information for the boys out there, but yeah, there's no actual embryo inside. But we had to wait for the miscarriage to happen, which is really traumatic, and took me it took weeks of waiting and then weeks of recovery to get to there. So I don't know how many weeks it's been since the miscarriage now. I think it's about 6. So yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's all good.
It's all good. It's a good. Yeah. It was tough, but I've done it before. And I said to my partner that I'm not doing it again, so I'm back on birth control. I don't like them. They're really unpleasant, and they really affect your view of your body, or my view of my body.
Yeah.
And how it can make you feel really powerless. And, like, you know, and I've talked about how no matter how much magic I seem to throw at this, it doesn't work. And I don't like the whole the universe says no stuff, but
You're pretty determined as a human. So
yeah.
You don't like to take no for an answer.
So we have glasses of drinks with us. So if you hear clinking, it's because we're enjoying ourselves while doing this.
My third glass of wine for the evening. It's good. It's feeling good.
Rue has fed me well and truly sufficiently, so I can smell my own breath with all the herbs and spices. So, you know, I'm glad you guys don't have smell-o-vision on this one.
We did put a little bit of bay in it, which we're going to be talking about tonight. So we've had bay for dinner, cups of bay tea. It's been good.
Nice segue, because, you know, I would have rambled forever. So we thought we'd just start off with, a bit of an update of what's going on. What's been going on for you, Rue?
I've been moving house, which is hectic when you own so much shit. Like, just, you think you've unpacked all the cupboards and then you find 3 more cupboards full of stuff and you're like, why do I have this? Where did I get it? And it just goes forever. So what was meant to be like a week of moving has just turned into what felt like a month of moving and cleaning houses and packing and unpacking, and I'm still not even fully unpacked yet. And we've been here for a while, so it's been fun. Work and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, but Rue, tell them about the really awesome feature down the back of your house.
Oh, yeah. And so the old house was awesome. It was like this 100-year-old, real witchy-looking place that I absolutely adored, stained glass, like carved wooden, everything, fireplace. So it was hard for my partner to sort of talk me into moving house, gotta let go of the past, blah, blah, blah. So I found this house. Pretty nice, open, heaps of birds that you might hear in the background. But the best feature is that it has an entire rainforest and a waterfall in the goddamn backyard. It's fucking awesome. It's so great. So I'm pretty happy.
It's so cool. It was intensely beautiful down there this afternoon. Very jealous of your beautiful, beautiful new digs. So
you wake up in the morning and you hear the creek flowing. It's pretty lush. And if you can hear the kookaburras in the background, pretty nice. Pretty happy.
They're just enjoying and joining in, so, I'm sure you guys don't mind. Bit of a novelty.
Yeah, that's it.
So, we're not going to really recap on the last episode because it was so long ago, but we did talk about wormwood, and I did make Dale Pendel's wormwood absinthe recipe, which was hilarious. So I made it, and on Friday last week I opened it up for a smell, and it's made with 95% alcohol, right? And so I opened it and because jar lids, they get sticky, threw it all over myself, and my husband was like, oh my God, that's so strong. It smelled so much. And because it was such a high proof alcohol, it dried off really quickly. But yeah, I stank like one of a romanticist's poem, I think. It was just really intense. I still haven't done the watering down on it yet. But the girls from Muses of Mystery came over the day after, and they smelt in it, and everyone was just like, whoa, that is going to take someone's head off the way it is. So that's pretty crazy. But that's sort of what I did with wormwood through that period. What about you?
I wound up doing nothing because, before we moved as well, as you guys know if you've been listening, we got a new puppy, which meant that a lot of my plants at my old house all got pushed into the chicken coop and neglected like nothing else over winter. We also had a really, really, really dry winter, so when I moved here and pulled everything out of the chicken coop, everything looked pretty much dead. I had one little leaf on my wormwood, and I've been nurturing it and babying it, and it's come back now, but it just meant I just did not have enough to do anything with it. Yeah,
and I think that was a lesson for the time period, There was just not enough of us to do anything with it.
Yeah.
I can't, honestly, guys, I can't even remember what book we talked about that episode. And, I could go back and look, and we could maybe talk about what we didn't do, but I don't think it's really worth it for you guys.
Yeah, no, it's been way too long.
Yeah. But this episode, we are going to talk about a book that is popular amongst certain segments of the community right now, and I guess in the crowds that we run in, people know Aidan Wachter. It's not Aidan Wachter, is it? It's Aidan Wachter with a German accent, maybe. I don't know. I'm sorry, Aidan. I really shouldn't have butchered your name. For his magical jewellery, he makes some intensely gorgeous talismanic jewellery. It is heavy and polished and beautiful, and I just love it, and I own 2 pieces. Really was thrilled to see that he's come out with a book, and it's really about his sort of personal approach to magic.
Yeah, it's sort of his little his little ramblings of what he's figured out works for him through his path, and it's a pretty eclectic little mix of a bit of this, a bit of that, like complete left balls at times. So it's interesting. It's really good. I really liked it. Something different.
Yeah, and it's really funny because Rue said to me, have you read this? And I said, yeah, and I didn't get into it. And I said, but I'll reread it. And so on rereading, I definitely found way more that I liked, but it still helped me realise what I didn't quite love.
Which is fine. Everyone's got their own little niches, and not everything in it resonates with me, and that's not the point. Everyone's got their own paths and their own little things, and this is very much, it feels like his own personal journey, and it's just him talking about what's worked for him, so maybe people will find things that work for them. And I really do like a lot of it, and I don't dislike parts, but certain parts just don't resonate. But it was a good, interesting take, and it was interesting to get a really good insight into sort of how he's developed. It was, it's an interesting little read.
Yeah, and we had a long chat beforehand, which we probably should have recorded. But I think a lot of my hang-ups around it are my own hang-ups around language, more than anything else. The first couple of chapters, there's things about... he uses the word devotion a few times, and I kind of get hung up on that. And so some of it's more about me than about the book. So I think it's also... I said to Rue that it says 6 ways, and I think I expected a way through the book, and there probably is in the first, 40 pages, there's ways, and then there's this really fabulous section on trance and stuff, and then there's a lot of really great magical tech at the end, in summary, but we'll go into it in detail.
Yeah, totally. So what for you was your favourite part of this book?
Oh, absolutely the trance part.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big fan of trance. I thought the entering into trance chapter was really good, because I thought there was some parts where he talked about how hard it can be to get into trance, and his different meditations and things like that. But also there's a fantastic script that he uses, which it starts with a bit of what I call wishy-washy, but after the first paragraph there is just this really nice method for getting into a trance, which is: my head is warm and heavy, my head is sinking into the ground. My face is warm and heavy, my face is sinking into the ground. My jaw is warm and heavy, my jaw is sinking into the ground. Now, that goes on, and then there's a second level of dissolving, and then a third level of floating in silence. And I used that to such great effect. I was on a plane coming back from Darwin, and I got so deep into trance with that. I was rocking it, and it was brilliant. I don't find it difficult to get in trance, but this was really nice.
I gotta say, I didn't actually get a chance to try his trance section yet, but hearing your results has me pretty excited. I really liked something that I feel like, so this is a book that sort of seems to encompass pretty much everything and his views and his takes on it, but something that he mentions that some books mention, some don't, which is raising power and finding magical voice. And I feel like there's a fair few books out there that sort of tell you how to do things, but don't ever sort of mention that if magic is energy, then you need to sort of, move energy and sort of help build it, which I do like that he sort of goes into this aspect on that. So he touches on a few things that I feel like they're common sense and they're basic knowledge, but not everyone ever talks about, and they're so helpful for people's practices.
Yeah, and I think some of it is, sometimes he talks about it in a much more approachable language than some books talk about it. There's chapter 6, which is gut and bone, and he talks about how to find that gut feeling and how to tap into that. excuse the kookaburras.
I did say I wanted a house with kookaburras, so...
All right. So he says, if you're not sure how to tap into this gut bone feeling, try this. Is there a food you love? Go and find it in the store. Bring it home. At the same time, buy some food you most hate. Place them both on a table in front of you and sit with them. Seriously consider eating both of them, each in turn. You may have to really do it. You may have to eat some of your food nemesis. Now notice, what is the difference in your body? In my case, if I seriously consider eating a raw red onion, my stomach turns and my head tries to turn away. And he talks about how one is calling him, drawing him in viscerally as much as the other is driving him away. And trying to find that feeling in other things to really see how your body reacts.
Yeah, it's all pretty, I don't know, basic stuff that I think we often overlook or don't even think about. It's pretty interesting. And like you said, he words it in the most like common way that's easy to connect to. It's not like this overly flowery language that everything is an adjective and everything's poetic and just over the top. He just speaks like a normal person. There's every now and again he swears, and it's a little bit refreshing, I've got to say.
And quotes like glam rock lyrics. Like there's David Bowie in there. There's a few other things in there. But yeah, it's a really... There's a lot to unpack in it, and I honestly do think that the 20 or 30 pages on trance could have been their own book. But yeah, just so very good in certain places, and then in other places I get a little bit hung up on the switches between hoodoo and Ayurvedic and a bit of trad witchcraft and Hecate and I think I get hung up on, which is ridiculous because I'm eclectic and I pride myself on the fact that I like to do things a bit different, but I just got hung up on it. I was looking for something pure and didn't get it, and it wasn't that I wanted it to be pure because it's great the way it is. I just got my editing hat on and wanted it to be something it wasn't, which is a bit rude.
Yeah, it's definitely one person's journey, I feel. Almost more like a personal journal of what they've experienced. And it's a really, really interesting insight. So I definitely think it's very, very much worth going out of your way to buy a copy and read through it.
Yeah, I think it's for the advanced beginner, because it's like... And there's something in there for even the more advanced practitioner, because it's really great to see how other people work.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things, we like to talk about with each other all the time. But, yeah, so there's a couple of things I want to try. We tried to do the pendulum.
Yeah, so we were discussing he has one that's called Simple Divination, which is the pendulum. And the chapter was very simple. I think it's like, what, 2 pages?
2 pages.
2 pages, and it's sort of, it's very, very basics. And I did not know that Belle struggles to use a pendulum.
Don't tell people about my lack of abilities. I cannot use a pendulum.
It moved a little bit. There was a little bit of wobbling. But as we both discussed, of the pendulum, I have 3 pendulums, and I like the look of them, and I've used them, but I don't like using pendulums. I feel like the whole asking yes or no feels, I don't know, strangely limited or something. I feel like I don't want yes or no answers. I want to be told something a bit more in depth. So I don't know if it's just not for me, but that seems like it's really his main thing on divination is just the pendulum, which I guess is a pretty easy thing to sort of start with.
Yeah, which is weird because I thought he did... I don't see it in the books, but I did think, wow, English people, I did think that he used tarot cards as well, but maybe that was something I read through one of his blog posts. But, yeah, I feel like for the more advanced practitioner, you'll read it and you'll find things that you go, hey, that actually might make that work for me. But don't come looking for it to be a complete system.
Yeah, it's sort of almost like footnotes of, hey, you could try this.
Yeah. And I found it a little bit frustrating because I do think that the chapters on trance are really great because he does, at one point, he talks about moving the self, and he's got like 19 points on how you might move yourself in trance and different things. And I felt like that could have been chapters and chapters, that section. But at the same time, they're really good things to try. Like, yeah, it's like it's the briefest points in some places, and I'm like, give me more.
So what do you want to try out of this book? What's the thing that calls to you?
He has a fire snakes ritual as part of the trance section, which is kind of interesting.
Is that the one with the diagram?
Yeah. It's just a nice little, I think he calls it the orbit. I remember missing one somewhere. Yeah, fire snakes, a more visceral version of his orbital work. So you do a trance induction, sense yourself into the world tree. You're the next. It's a nice little script about being the nexus. You're the great serpentine force, etc. And I think that one of the things with the miscarriage, and you were saying how you don't really like chakras too much, or it doesn't
resonate.
Yeah. But I really feel like my root chakra is completely fucked up. Sorry, guys. With the whole miscarriage thing. And maybe I'm noticing them more because I am doing more yoga now. Badly, I will say. I'm still doing yoga badly. But I've always done chakra meditations, and it's mainly because one of the best recorded meditations I had was a woman called Winifred who used to record Winifred's meditation on Apple Podcasts, and she's just this really calming voice. Sit down in your lazy boy sofa. And I was just like, I could just imagine this person sitting in a lazy boy to meditate. And I was like, yeah. But she did an excellent chakra meditation, and it was a really long one, so it was great. And you could do it while you were walking because you were activating all the chakras. And I just liked it. But yes, my root chakra is all kinds of fucked up right now. My relationship with my sexuality is wonk, and I'm trying to fix that with some herbs and some path working and things. No, I shouldn't say my sexuality in the LBTGIQ. And I'm going to get it wrong. Don't get offended, guys. I come from a generation where it was just LBT, you know? LBTIQ. Yeah. Anyway, all your genders. Great. Awesome. Love it. But, you know, being a bisexual woman, it was still like, I'm cool with this. But my relationship with my body and my sex, not being a woman or anything, but just my vagina, is all fucked up right now. So, yeah, lots of work on that. Yeah, oh, wow. Wayde's going to read this. Oh, I'm sorry to our editor who has to look me in the eye after hearing that. Sorry.
My vagina's all fucked up right now.
Sorry, guys. If you listen to this before next weekend and you see me at So Below, yeah, let's power to the all fucked up vaginas.
That's what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? What are you going to try?
I am really, really curious about, like, I definitely want to do his trance work one after hearing, like, your amazing results with it. I'm pretty curious. But his talismanic magic section, because since that is something that he is so, I guess, passionate about with his jewellery, I'm really, really curious to delve into that a bit more heavily and sort of see what sort of pointers he's got.
Is it wrong that I feel like I didn't get that far through the book twice?
No.
Like, yeah, because I totally am interested in that too. Totally. I can't understand why someone on YouTube called us cosplay witches when I say totally all the time.
Like, totally, like, oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
On Wednesdays, we wear pink. Actually, no, what day is it? It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
I'm not wearing pink.
We're going to sew some matching outfits. Cosplay witch outfits.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
We're totally doing that thing where you talk about your haters. Sorry, guys. So, yeah, that section I didn't read, so tell me about it.
Fuck, I've just flicked past it. God,
125.
125. We are at 123. Yeah, so I haven't delved into it as much either, gotta say. Did a lot of briefly flicking through a few times when I got a few spare minutes. But he does just, it's sort of similar to, I've got another little book called Sigil Magic, and it sort of has a similar premise in part of it where you write out a repetition of a word and you reassemble letters into a new sentence of nonsense words that sound good to you and strong to you. This part is building a verbal sigil with less intention towards simplification and more towards tone and vibrations of sounds, which is, I think, something we were talking about earlier as well, about finding those, I don't know, every now and again you find those sounds that just sort of resonate.
I do like the end, last couple of paragraphs. We can ask the same of herbs and other material we use in magic. Being intelligent about what we actually do in light of their suggestions. So I'm guessing he's saying to ask the herb for a suggestion. He says, the datura lace brownies are probably not a good idea. Yeah, no. We are in the Hunter Valley. I'm not revealing too much about Rue's location by saying that. But there are billboards everywhere that say, which is a very Australian thing, yeah, nah, which is yeah, no, as in yes, no, I won't do that. And it's a really Australian thing, but it's all about like, oh, it's only a few kilometres over the speed limit. Say yeah, nah. I'm like, this is going to kill me. I'm going to be saying it for weeks.
Yeah, the datura lace brownies are probably not a good idea. Say yeah, nah.
Oh, no. I kind of want that to be the title for this podcast.
Oh, it's so sickening.
Yeah, but the datura spirits might suggest otherwise. And so, yeah, don't do that. But that's not what he's telling you not to do that, so that's a good thing. There are some good stuff. There is some good stuff in that little chapter there. He talks about how you can find bones, rings, stones that speak to us. He found a lucky pistol cartridge. I don't know how a pistol cartridge can be lucky, but, you know.
Yeah.
If it works for you.
Not so lucky for whoever's on the other end, but, you know.
Yeah. Maybe it was one that missed someone.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's some good stuff in here to unpack and have fun with. But, yeah, that trance... I actually have been using that trance to get to sleep. It's been really helpful. So if I do the heavy twice and then the dissolving, I'm usually asleep before I'm halfway through dissolving. Now, I do break it down a bit more because I'm a bit more anatomically based in terms of I can't just say my legs are dissolving. I have to go my toes, my heels, my calves, my front of my calves, my back of my calves. You know, I have to break it down more. So, yeah, it's a longer meditation. But
my Achilles heel is dissolving.
My Achilles heel is dissolving. That sentence could go either way. It's like Hitler and the... Hitler, Stalin and the prostitutes, Oxford comma. Yeah.
I was like, where are you going with this for a second?
It's way worse when we're together. So that's Aidan Wachter. I'm going to say it's Wachter. It's Wachter. Wachter. 6 ways, approaches and entries for practical magic. And it is a lovely addition to your magical library. If you have any opinions on it, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Now, what's next?
Bay leaves. Bay leaves are one of those things that I feel like we had this discussion of every time you're reading a book, it seems like somebody mentions bay leaves and what to do with bay leaves. And then the moment we both went out to go, okay, let's talk about bay leaves, we could not find any information about bay leaves.
Yeah. But then once we started to look again, we found all the bay leaves.
Yeah.
I think it's like because maybe it's bay laurel, and then there's also bayberry, which has nothing to do with it at all.
Which I only just learned about tonight when you mentioned it, that, yeah, bayberry is a thing, which I had no idea about.
So what's the botanical name for bay laurel? Laurus nobilis or something like that?
Yep, Laurus nobilis. And then bayberry is Pimenta acris or Myrcia cerferi.
Yeah, so a myrtle.
Myrtle.
So while we're on that weird thing, one of the things I noticed, it says don't use mountain laurel, which is Calmia latifolia, or cherry laurel, which is Prunus lauricrosis. California bay is Umbella lularia. It's sort of smells the same, but is more bitter and has more eucalyptus overtones. So there is a lot of confusion around bay. A lot of things are called bay.
Yeah. But, I mean, you can get it from your grocery store. It's in the spice section. It's bay leaves, you know. You put it in curries. You consume it all the time. Like, it's pretty easy to get a hold of this one if you do want to try working with it.
Yeah. And fresh is completely different to dried as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Belle actually got me to try bay tea for the first time tonight, so I just ran out and grabbed some off my bay tree, and it's way sweeter than I was expecting. I was expecting this, like, earthy tone that you have in curries, but it's actually amazingly delicious. Just bruise the leaves and then steep it in water.
Yeah, so that one I found in a book by Sarah Isles, which is on the Oracle of Delphi. And it's a fascinating little read. I think it was like her thesis or something, and I'm sure I've mentioned it before. But yeah, you have to read that one if you're interested in the society around Delphi. Really interesting.
So yeah, bay.
So we get the whole. Where did the nymph Daphne was turned into a bay laurel tree to escape Apollo's advances. Woo. So that might be one of the reasons that magically it can be related to protection and things like that. Medically, it is an astringent, a carminative, a digestive, a stomachic. So all those things around the tummy, it's a stimulant and a diaphoretic, so it will make you sweat. In large doses, it's an emetic and an emmenagogue. So emetic makes you vomit, and emmenagogue will bring on uterine contractions. More vaginas for this podcast. But it's really useful in poultices on your chest for a bronchitis. You can make it into an oil for rheumatic pains and swelling strains and things like that. And that's around a lot of the chemicals that are present in it, which you'd recognise. There's geraniol, which is present in a lot of geraniums, eucalyptol from the eucalyptuses, cineol, which is present in, I'm going to say lemons and I'm going to get it wrong. It is present in lemons, but the main thing in lemon is limonene. And then all the terpenes and things like that. So that's why it's good for that cold and flu kind of bronchitis area.
So it's also primarily used in divination as well, you find. I mean, that's one of the oldest things that I've always come across in books with bay is, people using the smoke for divination or burning the leaves for divination. But one of the things with the Delphic Oracle is that they spoke about how she used the smoke of it to achieve altered states of consciousness. However, excavations of the area have explained that the oracle's trances were through gases leaching up through the ground in the antechamber where the oracle composed her thoughts and prophecies, which is sort of an interesting twist. So, is it the bay, or was it those gases that were actually causing these sort of trance-like states.
Yeah, bit of both. I think that the interesting thing with Bay is that you see it in so many spells. Like, you know, the most basic wish spells where you write what you want on it. Like, I think it's all over Pinterest where someone's written on them in silver Sharpies.
Yeah, you write it on a leaf and then you burn the leaf.
Yeah.
And depending how it burns tells you whether or not it will be successful. If it burns quickly, it's, you know, a good outcome. If it smoulders and doesn't really do much, then, you know, don't expect too much.
I've never done that. Like, never used Bay for divination in that way.
They are heavily, you also find they're a really, really heavily oiled plant as well. They do tend to, like, I don't know, from a bit biased, like, crackle up pretty quickly, and I guess it depends on the freshness or that. And like I was telling Belle once before, if I set up a candle spell one night, did the stupid thing that, you know, no one should do, of leave a candle burning overnight, which I had some laurel berries around the base of it, which are really, really heavy in oil. So I woke up in the middle of the night to the smoke alarm going off, came down to an inferno raging up the wall. Luckily the house didn't burn down, but those laurel berries just, yeah. Oil is combustible. Let's just say that.
Yeah, actually, tip if you need to do a candle burning spell and you need to leave it overnight, in the bathtub.
I've done that before, but this time I did not.
Because I'm a clever witch.
Yeah. I was like, oh, this will be all good. Famous last words.
Yeah. Actually, there was one medicinal use, cosmetic use, I guess is the right word, that I really liked, which was a steam bath with chamomile, rosemary as an astringent for the skin. And I could really do with that today. It's kind of muggy where we are. And, like, I could just use something to tighten my pores because I'm so vain. In the Herbalpedia, which is a great little download that you can get, it's this insane million-page document of herbal monographs. But in the one on Bay, it has two things that I think are amazing. One was a bay leaf pound cake, which I thought would be an awesome offering to Apollo if you wanted working with Apollo. And the other one was a wealth oil that had angelica root, bay, and cloves. And then added into jojoba oil rubbed between your palms and behind your ears. I kind of liked it, and I thought maybe that's a good idea. I've got some angelica root that I need to use. I think that might work. I really want to grow a clove bush, but I'm not sure that I'd ever harvest the cloves at the right time, and I'm a bit worried about it.
Angelica is one of those funny things too. I don't know. I've got angelica there, and I've got to say I hate the smell of angelica root. Every now and again I use it, but just, I don't know, the scent of it, just, no.
You should see, I've got a lot of angelica growing right now, really weirdly, because I kept buying all these weird, different Chinese versions of it, and one of them is, honest to God, like the size of a small car. like, and when I say small car, I do mean like a Nikki, one of those little Russian cars, but it's as tall as I am, and the leaves are bigger than a laptop, and it is the hugest plant. I'll do some videos of it on the weekend, but yeah, could not get over. I don't know how big the taproot's going to be. Like,
be interesting to dig up. Yeah, I definitely want to see a video of the garden.
Oh yeah, I did a video a couple of weeks ago, and I swear everything has doubled in size since.
Another cool little incense that I found when I was digging around was an all-purpose ritual incense using bay, where burn this blend before Sabbat or Esbat rituals to cleanse the space. 1 bay leaf crushed, Laurus nobilis, to build a protective wall around the ritual space, which I find in all our books. Generally, you find a lot of mentions of using bay for protection or hex breaking, clearing, all those sorts of things. 1 piece of cinnamon bark for protection, 3 frankincense tears for protection, 1 piece of myrrh to lift spirits, 1 teaspoon of red sandalwood to cleanse negativity, and 2 pinches of blue vervain for protection. This is a guidelines recipe. Adjust the amounts as needed for pleasant smelling blend. Protection blends works best when the scent is appealing to the subject of protection. Always burn incenses containing cinnamon in a well ventilated area so not to irritate the lungs. So that was off this awesome little book that I only picked up the other day, which, I don't know, I was sort of drawn to the sort of cutesy, cheesy looking cover, but it actually turned out to have a wealth of information called Blackthorn's Botanical Magic, a Green Witch's Guide to Essential Oils for Spellcrafting, Ritual and Healing.
Sounds really cute. I'm going to get it and read it on the plane on the way home tomorrow night. So...
yeah, it actually had a lot of interesting spells and oils in it, which is quite refreshing, actually.
Yeah, sounds like a fun one to use. One of the really creepy things I found was that it was used to attract romance and love, but in the language of flowers it says, "My feelings will change only with death."
Yeah, not creepy at all, especially considering a lot of people mention using bay in your wedding bouquet for a long and happy marriage until death do us part.
Literally. Wow. So maybe if you're going to use it in love spells, just be mindful of the fact that it could be very binding. And one of the interesting things I did find was I've got some kablah. I've got some controversial differences between what planet it goes with. You know, so I've seen the Sun and then I've seen Saturn. Obviously all kind of weirdly fiery. But yeah, just like usually it's not the Sun versus Saturn. Like they're so polar opposite in terms of emotions. So I thought that was kind of interesting because Shulk, I thought, that said it was a Saturn plant, which is interesting. Actually, Shulk's Viridarium umbris has a whole little treatise on laurel, which is actually quite interesting. He does talk about using the American one as well, the California laurel. But yeah, talks about the difference. He has some really good things in there about house wards and stuff. And then he talks about the devil of laurel, a foul and forceful arboreal genius may be roused as an ally unto war by a certain magical operation requiring the deliberate rotting of moist laurel leaves in a sealed vessel until black. This rank putrescence is then commingled with fresh leaves and the ashes of both laurel wood and seeds. So the wood is then tinctured into good white wine for 1 month, and this extract distilled. So it's a really alchemical operation. It just sounds really crazy that he then calls the genius into it with a name, and then putting it where someone might touch it, the foe might touch it. It's pretty crazy.
It reminds me of like you find a lot of like those old sort of folk magic spells, things like, you know, removing warts, where you rub a penny on a wart and then you leave it so you know someone will pick it up and then they'll obtain it and someone will lose it. Just that sort of, I don't know, luring people in and transferring something.
Yeah.
Tricky magic.
Yeah, tricky magic. But it's kind of, I don't know, Viridarium umbris is, in my opinion, Shulk's best book. Like, full of flowery language, but so many good pieces of magical workings with the plants.
Definitely. I also found, so I was digging through a few of my books this evening as well, Hoodoo Herb and Root Magic by Catherine, I'm going to butcher...
Ironwood.
There you go. Thank you, Belle. Had a really, really great, interesting chapter on different ways to use bay that I felt like in a lot of books when I was looking up bay for reference, a lot of people just sort of repeated the same sort of things and, you know, using it in love or using it in hex breaking, but not a whole lot of substance. Whereas I found her book had some really, really, really great and interesting ways to use it. For example, to drive an enemy away, cut a stick of bay exactly 3 feet long before sunrise, take it to the enemy's house and beat them with it. No, joking. Take the bay sticks to the enemy's house and lay it down at the doorstep, pointing towards the street. Turn the stick end for end 3 times, measuring off 4 complete lengths, 12 feet total, on the ground, and leaving the stick pointed towards the street. Command your enemy to go, calling out his or her name, then run with the stick in your hand to your nearest stream of water, drive the stick into the water, facing downward stream, and leave it there. The entire job must be completed before sunrise, and it is said that as fast as the stream flows, that is how fast your enemy will pick up and leave.
I hope you've got a fast-flowing stream somewhere close by.
I know, I was just thinking that. What if you're in the middle of the city and it's like the closest stream is, 4 hours running?
You'd have to make sure, like, you did it after a storm, so that you could use a stormwater drain. And I understand why you'd have to run as fast as you could, because if you're shouting for someone to leave, you're going to come out there.
Yeah. To ward off evil, folks carry Bay in a mojo bag to stop interference by unwanted people. If they're doing a bad job on someone else, they may place a leaf in each corner of a room to avoid being jinxed in return. Bay leaf tea added to Chinese wash or floor scrub water is said to get rid of enemies' tricks. Laid at the door and cleared at the crossed conditions. Dried bay is employed as a weekly floor sweep by sprinkling the leaves on the floor, then sweeping them out the door. Finally, we know those who keep a bundle of dried bay leaves in this attic to repel lightning, which that's another thing that I'd always heard, is that there's this old folklore thing about how if you have bay growing, that lightning will never strike your house. Don't know where this comes from or why, but one of those things that I've always sort of heard people say. But I know there was another thing I came across too, where it's like, if you want good luck, you carry a bay leaf in your mouth for the entire day. Like,
oh my god. Well, like the ones at the tips of the things can be quite small.
Yeah, but like, how do you not swallow it or spit it out? I don't know, it just seems like it would be quite cumbersome.
Yeah, you'd have to be pretty quiet. I know. It'll be one of those ones where you're supposed to do it from sunrise to sunset, so you really need to do it in the middle of winter in Finland, where sunrise to sunset is only like 4 hours.
That's it, yeah.
So, yeah, hot tip, go to Finland if you need to do a sunrise to sunset.
If you need some quick luck.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hoodoo, Herb and Root Magic, definitely an awesome book with some really interesting ways that I found no one else sort of spoke about for using different herbs.
Oh yeah, you've got to have that in your library, especially if you do herbs in any way. Actually, on bay and growing it, it's really hard to propagate. Hang on, Rue's thought of something.
Because I just remembered that you actually mentioned earlier that you're having trouble growing your bay.
Well, I've got one that's covered in black fungus right now, which is from a scale attack. So the insect scale is attacking my plant.
I forgot that I had this screenshotted. 1 second. Where was it? Here it is. In olden times, the decay of the bay tree was considered an omen of disaster, and it is stated that previous to the death of Nero, through the winter was very mild, all these trees withered to the roots, and that the great pestilence in Padua was preceded by the same phenomenon. Shakespeare speaks of this superstition. "'Tis thou the king is dead, we will not stay. The bay trees in our country are all withered." Lipton in his Notable Things tells us that if a fir tree be touched and withered and burned with lightning, it signifies that the master or mistress therefore shall shortly die.
Okay, so that might have been our misfortune through winter. That's not too bad. But one thing we did do is over the last few years we've been growing some young bay trees that we propagated from my partner's grandmother's house, and bay tree cuttings are really, really hard to propagate. And we probably put in about 21 different cuttings, and we now have 7 plants that actually rooted, and they're thriving. So that's good, but the old bay tree is struggling. The oldest one that I've had for 6 or 7 years, is covered in this black fungus caused by the scale and sap eating insects. So I'm desperately trying to get it back to health, but maybe it was just an omen for my bad winter. Now is the winter of my discontent. Sorry, Shakespeare. Richard? It's Richard V, whatever it is. I don't know. My Shakespeare is terrible. Was there anything else you were thinking on Bay?
Not really. I mean, I think the things that I mostly want to do, so I've got a new place. Definitely want to do start some new different cleansing rituals. Always had some different ones. at the old house, and so I think now's the time to start some new rituals. Might incorporate bay into the weekly floor washes.
Yeah.
How about you? What are you thinking?
Look, I do love the bay tea.
The bay tea was good.
Yeah, it's tasty. It's tasty. Of course, there's lots of herb books out there that say you should not ingest bay, and I'm like, what the hell are you guys thinking? I think it's one of those things where a little bit goes a long way. Don't ingest bay over a long period, because all of those active chemicals that we talked about are going to cause irritation. And as it said, in high doses, it's an emetic. It will make you vomit because it causes irritation. So don't. One pot of bay tea a week or for a couple of weeks is okay, but a pot of bay tea a day is probably not so good. Does not keep the doctor away.
I'm curious to play with the bay tea a bit more with divination practice. Like I was telling Belle earlier, I have this little tiny pot of divination balm that she made me years and years and years and years ago, and I still have it, and it's amazing. I have a little deck of cards called the Xena deck, where it's sort of, they're just little cards, and they've both got a little shape on. There's different altering shapes on each card, and you lay them face down and you try and sort of predict what's going to be on each card. And so I did a few tests where I was keeping track and keeping score, where I'd do them sober and do them with her divination balm, and found the effects were actually drastically different. So really, really, really good results with that. So I'd be curious to try it with the tea as well, to see what kind of results I get playing with different divination decks with it.
Yeah, it's a funny one, because that's the Hedge Witch balm I think you've got, and yes, I have reopened my store, and no, this is not a paid advertisement or infomercial, peeps, but yeah, the Hedge Witch really works for some people, and I get a lot of feedback from men, especially gay men, who tell me how effective it is and how much they feel the horned god through it, because there are some herbs in there that are really virile, I guess is the right word. But for me, it's a divination balm. I find it really effective. So it's definitely one of the most requested balms in my store. So can I take the moment to do a plug? So belladonnaandbones.com is back. I have restocked a bunch of things. There's the tinctures that I've spoken about before for a few different herbs that are available. And also, if you're in Melbourne, Muses of Mystery in the Nicholson building have a wide selection of my products. So pop in and say hello to Vicky and Tehani and Emma there. So, yeah, kind of exciting. Been a good week. Thank you for everyone for waiting for the store to come back and for waiting for us to come back.
Yeah, I will try and do more, but work is busy and I am always exhausted. So,
yeah,
I'll try.
Look, we just know we have to pace ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, it's the full moon nearly here tomorrow. We will look at making sure that we try to have something else out at BM before Christmas. It may be a shorter episode, but, we will do our best to get to you. And then again in January, we hope to be together again.
Yeah,
so
that'll be exciting. Hopefully I get to see your garden in person.
Yes, come visit my garden. I had a few people around to the garden the other day because I have a ridiculous amount of henbane seedlings. So I repotted. So I hadn't grown henbane before, and when they died off, being annuals, I thought, I don't know, will they grow from seedling? Everyone says they're really easy. I'd sucked at growing them from seedlings before, because you'd sent me seeds and I was like, couldn't get them to grow.
I feel like it's one of those plants that I've always been cursed with. I've always tried to grow, and I've always tried to grow them from seedlings, and then, same thing. Always disastrous, always just killing them. They go for a bit and you're like, come on, you can do it, and then just...
But no, not these guys.
Yeah.
I literally crushed all the little cauldrons of seeds all over these pots, and they sat in a greenhouse through winter, alternately being covered in moss and mouldy because, not the seeds themselves because they were covered, but the tops of the pots, and drying right out. And then all of a sudden, I have masses of henbane seeds. I repotted 99 henbane seeds the other day. I still have an entire nursery flat full of henbane seedlings I haven't unpotted. It's absurd.
I know they do tend to, from what I've read, thrive on neglect.
Yeah.
They want poor conditions.
Nothing could be poorer than this, I tell you. But yeah, I was really surprised. I was like, I saw all these little tiny dicot seedlings come up and I was really excited. I thought, no, it can't be. Don't get your hopes up. And then all of a sudden they branched out into little fluffy henbanes. And I was like, yes!
Happened. Finally happened. One of us had success, finally.
Yeah, finally. Yeah, so what else is growing in the garden right now? Everything. Everything is growing, which is great because we had winter and nothing grew and it makes me sad. So
I do like the beginning of spring, that feeling everything's alive again. It's good.
We hope you're having a great spring, and if you're going into winter in the Northern Hemisphere,
sucks to be you.
Yeah, I was going to be inspirational and say, no, bed down, take the time of the dark of the year and, you know, do some journeying work. And no, sucks to be you. Well, it kind of does because it is really nice to come out the other end. So, yeah, look to that light towards the end of the tunnel and we'll see you in the dark of your year and the light of ours. Maybe we'll do a solstice episode.
Hopefully.
Yeah. All right, thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.
See ya.